Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture. Let's bring on the host, Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs.
Hello everyone, I'm Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs, and you are listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio, a rock and roll show all about pets, people, and pop culture. I'm live from Las Vegas, and today I'm talking about cancer sniffing dogs. You are going to want to listen to this entire show, so stay right there.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs, and you are listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio. I'm live from a sunny Las Vegas, and it's just always sunny anyway. So that's kind of a given when you live out here in the desert. But thank you for listening in today. It's going to be a very interesting, informative show. It's a very big topic. We're going to be talking about cancer sniffing dogs. Big topic. We're going to try and get as much information into the show as we possibly can. And then after the show, I am bombing up to Barking Dogs Self-Washing Grooming because we have our spring photo fundraiser for animal rescue, and that's part of Rocking for Rescues. We're going to be there till 3 p.m. this afternoon. They're already set up now. They're already taking photos of pets. It's $25 for digital photos, and the money goes to Rocking for Rescues, and as you know, I'm on the board, and what we do is we raise money to take the financial pressure off other rescues. And to date, we've helped over 25 rescues, and we continue to do so on an ongoing basis. So hopefully I'll get to see you up there. I'll do some Facebook Live. We'll try and get as many people to come in. It's always really fun, though. It is fun, isn't it, Jim? I'm kind of leading him there.
Yes, it is very much fun. No, it really is. I'm just teasing.
We have a really adorable backdrop, too, for spring.
And Rick takes great animal photography, and people have a really good time. It's a good hang.
It is a good hang. That's the difference.
You hang out, you go there for the photo, but most people stay and connect.
And just hang out with us.
Hang out, and the dogs, do their thing.
And it's great. And we do have fun because sometimes those dogs just want to do their own thing, and it's okay. But do know this, if you want to be in the photographs, and it does make it a lot easier, trust me, you can do that as well. So $25, it's so cheap to do it. And Rick Vierkan of Bart Gallery, our friend, is doing the photographs once again. And usually you'll find Pam and myself, who's the founder of Rockin' for Rescues, rolling around on the floor, messing around ourselves, getting some pictures taken, so pretending we're dogs. But it's a great reason to come out and get cute pictures of your pets, help animal rescue, connect with Pam and myself. And I think Rick and Jim usually go home with a headache after being with us for a few hours. But it's fun, isn't it, Jim?
The headache? No,
the headache's not fun at all. And talking of headaches, oh gosh, these allergies out here in the desert are just unbelievably bad. So if you hear Jim cough, it will sound like he's about to die. And
I'll just leave the room.
He's got something to cough into. He's got a towel.
I will leave the room.
I heard you this morning. I thought you were going to die in the kitchen.
I had a good night's sleep. Even had a good walk with Mr. Twix today. I don't know. It just hits me.
It's just those irritants. We're pollen central out here. It's horrible. So if you hear that, there you go. And that proves to us it's live. We're not going to edit out the coughs unless it gets really bad. Well, like I said, we've got a great guest coming on today. Just before we get started, I want to tell you where you can find us on the internet so you can connect with us in other places. Our website is vegasrockdogradio.com. You'll often find us pop up on Periscope. Of course, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Tumblr, Instagram. We have a blog called the rockandrolldog.com. And we have an app, and the app is on the YAP site, and that's yapp.us, and it's free. And you download the YAP app. Kind of makes sense with dogs, doesn't it? The YAP app, and then you'll download Vegas Rock Dog Radio onto your app, and it's free. Now, if you're like me, I love podcasts, so we throw the show up after the live show. We throw it up as a podcast for all to listen to at their own convenience. And you can find us on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and a ton of other platforms. And I didn't even get a chance to tell you this week, but iTunes, they never really, as far as like a marketing tool, you couldn't, because iTunes is a big platform. I mean, there's everything on there, as you know. And to find a podcast was hard because they didn't specifically call it iTunes Podcasts. Although they have the podcast app doesn't say iTunes next to it. So there was a marketing, I think, a gap there. Well, anyway, this week they finally changed the marketing and they've got some new logos that have come out, which will help people understand, oh, there are podcasts on iTunes, which is wonderful. And that's where you're going to find us as well. We have a second show, which is like the mini show. Each episode is about 60 seconds long because it's a pet tip of the day. And it's just called Pet Tip of the Day. You'll find it on there as well. But if you do have another type of podcast app on your phone, just search Vegas Rock Dog Radio. You are bound to find us. I think we're on close to 30 platforms now. And we just got on radio something. Oh, gosh, there's that many. It's hard to keep track sometimes. But just search for Vegas Rock Dog Radio and you'll find us. So we make it very easy for you to listen anywhere in the world at any time of day. And we're definitely in a world of convenience, aren't we, Jim? And on demand. So
24 hours here.
So we do the yeah. Oh yeah. It's weird for us to go to another town that closes at normal. Things close at normal times. Remember when it's Colorado? We could never seem to get out of the hotel or our cabin to go and have dinner because in our head we're like, oh, it's 24 hours. No, it's not. So every time we left, it's like, oh, everything's closed. Oh gosh, we can only have fast food. So we we had a hard time getting used to that. We're very, very spoiled here. The only thing we don't have, seriously, is your mic off? Yeah. Really? Can you not cough during the interview?
I could leave the room.
It's the only thing I want.
I might just walk out after you guys get started.
Yeah, if you feel like you're going to cough, yeah. I'm not running a ton of commercials today because I know we've got big topic to cover. So yeah, that might work out, Jim. Well, like I said, we're going to talk about cancer sniffing dogs. You may never have heard of such a thing, and I think this is going to become a normal part of diagnosing cancer. What's the word? Oh.
Therapy.
No.
Treatment.
No.
Protocol.
Detecting cancer. There we go. Let's get my big words together today. So I want to introduce to you today Dina Zaphiris, and I hope she'll correct me if I've said her name wrong. She's the founder and CEO of Situ Foundation, and she'll correct me if that's wrong as well. She's been training dogs for 23 years, and she's specialized in medical scent detection, missing persons detection, bomb and narcotics detection. And she's a pioneer, and I always love that word because you know what? We have really amazing people that come on this show, and I love a pioneer. She's a pioneer and leader in the field of canine biodetection and has trained over 50 dogs to detect cancer for federally funded as well as privately funded studies. Welcome to the show, Dina.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Did I pronounce your name right?
The butchering is nil. You did perfectly
Nil.
well. It's Dina Zaphiris. That's perfect. And believe it or not, we can be pronounced in Situ Foundation or in situ.
Oh, okay.
Because they're both correct.
I wasn't sure.
It actually means stage 0 cancer. And nobody hears about in situ cancer because nobody can find it that early, except for us.
How interesting.
Yes, in situ means, or in situ means in its place, has not spread yet. While the tumor is still, a few cells or in its own encapsulated tumor, it has not metastasized. So
wow,
there are many meanings. It's Latin, and there are many meanings. It can be used in a lot more contexts than just cancer, but it is referred to as stage 0 cancer. So that's the name of our foundation, and we are a nonprofit.
I was going to ask you if you're a nonprofit, because at the end we want to send people, towards your site if they want to make donations, and that's really important. What is your website?
So we are dogsdetectcancer.org. Dogs with an S.
Plural. Okay, plural. So we've got dogsdetectcancer.org.
Yes.
So at the end of this show, we're gonna say that once again to make sure that everybody gets to know what it is. Of course, we're going to share it all over our social media for you as well.
Great.
And when we put the podcast up, we put all the links in there as well. Jim, do you have a question? What was your question?
I don't have any question.
A tech. I thought you had a tech question.
A tech question?
Yeah.
For you?
No. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Hang on.
I'm not reading your mind right now. Sorry.
Hang on. We should be able to. We've been married 22 years. Well, as I said, this is a big topic, a really, really big topic. And your work has generated some huge interest in top universities in the world, including University of California, Davis, and Duke universities. And that's really great to hear. Let's rewind. How did you even come up with this idea that dogs could be used to sniff and detect cancer?
Well, I really need to talk about the collaborative effort of this science, which has kind of come from anecdotal stories, like people's dogs found their cancer and they went to their doctor and said, hey, Muffy is digging right here on the side of my lung, and boom, it turns out to be cancer. So there were literally thousands of these anecdotal stories, right? So one is the stories from the general public. Number two is a very important peer of mine and collaborator, Dr. Michael McCulloch.
Right.
He was the one who got the idea, well, if so many people have these stories of the dogs being able to do this with their remarkable noses, what if we can scientifically take a dog and train him through, protocols and scientific methods to be able to do this? So Dr. Michael McCulloch had the idea, and I was the dog trainer, along with another trainer who has just recently passed away. It breaks my heart. His name was Kirk Turner, brilliant man. And together we kind of came up with a way to do it. And it worked. And we ended up training 5 ordinary household dogs. This was back in 2003. The study was published in 2006 in the Journal of Integrative Cancer Therapies. Mm-hmm. And it's a peer-reviewed medical journal. That's very important because there are journals, you can publish things, but a peer-reviewed medical journal is at the top of its game. It's controlled, it's looked at by peers and other scientists as highly legitimate information. So we were published in the Journal of Integrative Cancer Therapies at 99% sensitive in the early detection of lung cancer and 88% sensitive in the early detection of breast cancer. But the remarkable thing is the specificity rate, and I'll explain what that is, among both lung and breast cancer is 99% published, and that means almost no false positives.
That's amazing.
Which is, if you know a lot about cancer or you've had cancer in your life or your family, we just do not have good screening methods. So, and you're right when you said this is a huge story. It's a can of worms. There's so many aspects that we can talk about today, from the studies to the training to why it's important to how we do it. There's so much to talk about, but I really want to stress that people don't know we do not have a screening method for cancer, for most types of cancer. Women are not told to get mammograms until they're over 50.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's a type of screening. But what about all the cancers that are growing from when you're 20 years old. My mother had a slow-growing type of cancer. It was called DCIS, ductal in situ carcinoma. It's usually non-invasive. But she had a slow-growing type of cancer that was probably growing for 10 to 15 years before it was even detectable.
That's a long, long time. And did she just not have any symptoms?
She didn't. She didn't. And actually, we think mammograms find cancer, and this is the other interesting thing. They do find cancer, but it's usually because the woman is at home, is palpating her breast, or she's in the shower, she feels a lump, then she goes to get a mammogram.
Right.
Because she felt a lump. So it still wasn't the screening. It's these diagnostic mammograms when women already find it themselves. So we really don't have an early detection tool as good as the dog. So when people ask me, like, and you didn't ask me this, but people say, oh, well, do you think the dogs should replace machines, or are they better than machines? It's apples and oranges. The dogs are doing something that machines
can't do.
Can't even do.
Yes,
Exactly.
it can't replicate it.
We need all the tools we can get in the toolbox. Dogs are simply adding another tool to detection.
I'm a big fan of those kind of things. You know, try and put everything in you possibly can, because sometimes it's a combination of those things that work. And if you can, why wouldn't you do that? And like you say, a machine cannot replicate what a dog can do. And with a sense that they have, it's phenomenal, isn't it, with their noses?
It really, really is. And people love to hear all about the dog's nose. One of the most fascinating things to me is that dogs have an organ inside of their nose, a whole separate organ that humans and primates lack.
Oh.
We don't even have it. It's huge. I mean, if you look at a German Shepherd's nose, let's just say it's 4 or 5 inches, that long snout part of the nose right before the black rubbery rhinarium.
Yes.
The spongy tip of the nose is called the rhinarium. And actually that spongy tip, it stays moist through tear and nasal secretions, and it actually sucks in these odor molecules, and they can inhale molecules from the right, from the left, tell which direction something's coming from. But not only that, once you get into the nose, that long snout part that I mentioned, picture from that black spongy tip all the way up to the eyeballs, there's that long section.
Yep.
Almost like a loaf of bread on a German Shepherd.
Yeah.
In that section of the nose is an organ called the olfactory recess. And humans and primates don't even have it. It's huge. It takes up almost half of the dog's nose, that long part of the nose. And it has turbinates and mucous membranes and twists, and it actually bypasses the respiratory system. Whereas when we breathe, our oxygen has to oxygenate our body, right?
Yep.
And we can also smell. Well, a dog has 2 separate systems, one for respiration and one just for detecting odor and smelling.
That's fascinating.
When he smells something like garlic or chocolate cake or cancer compounds, it can bypass the respiratory system and go directly to the brain with like its own computer server in the brain, which happens to be 40 times larger, relatively speaking, than the area of the human brain that process is sent.
Now, when it comes to,
it's just, you can't even explain it.
When it comes,
unbelievable.
When it comes to comparing, say, our sense of smell to a dog's sense of smell, how much better is that?
And I like to kind of, it's somewhere between 10,000 and 100,000 times better than ours, but we don't know. What we do know is they can detect odor at 100 million times smaller concentrations than we can.
Gosh, can you imagine smelling at that level?
Yeah, so it's called parts per trillion. We know what level we can detect odor at, and we can measure that, and we also can measure when a dog can detect, as soon as a dog is able to detect odor, and that's at a part per trillion.
Wow.
So they can detect concentrations of up to 100 million times smaller than we can.
Now, I was reading on your website about layering, layers of smell. How does that work compared to, say, how we smell?
So the best, the organ of the nose of a dog is fascinating. But when you talk about layering scent, the best way to explain it is you and I smell the whole. So we can walk into the kitchen and say, oh, chocolate cake. I smell chocolate cake, right?
Yeah.
Well, when the dog walks in the kitchen, he actually can smell the parts of the cake. He doesn't smell it as a whole. So he comes in the kitchen and he can literally smell the sugar, the flour, the butter, the eggs. And this has already been cooked into the cake. He's able to separate and pick out the odors just by sniffing.
That is phenomenal.
So the vanilla, the salt, the, whatever little spice you put in there, the chocolate chips, whatever it is. So he's able to smell in layers. And this is exactly why a dog can follow a trail. Let's say you walked down a trail, got lost. 1,000 people walked over your trail. The dog is still able to follow your trail. because he
Gosh.
can discard all the other odors and understand we're following your trail, because maybe he's sniffed a scent article like your hat or your sock, and he was able to then follow that, um, those actual shedded skin cells. When you walk, you're actually leaving a trail of skin cells, and the dog is able to follow that physical evidence.
And no
so
wonder,
a lot of people.
no wonder they're so important when it comes to, you say, finding lost persons, because you can give them, like you say, you can give them, a sock, a shoe, something that they've touched, and they'll be able to pick up all these layers, and then it's a complete sense, isn't it, of the person, really? Gosh, that is so fascinating, and I can understand now why this would be transferred into the medical field to be something so important. Now, how do you train these dogs? And is there a specific breed you like to work with? Is one better than the next, or is this just across the board? This is something that dogs can do.
Well, let's talk about the breeding first. So we've used rescue dogs. We've used plain old mutts. We've used German Shepherd from German Shepherd Rescue. West Side German Shepherd Rescue is a huge German Shepherd Rescue in Los Angeles. We've adopted 2 of our best sniffers from that West Side German Shepherd Rescue, and they were literally unwanted dogs. They had been returned to the shelter 2-3 times, and they are some of our best sniffers. So I love the herding breeds, meaning the shepherds, both German Shepherds, Australian Shepherds, Aussies, cattle dogs, border collies. These guys have the right temperament. So it's not only about the nose, it's about their willingness to work, their drive, their personality.
Because it's a job.
Yeah, it's a job, and we want a dog to be tireless. So when you look at the herding breeds, they just have incredible focus, and they want to stay out there all day and guard their sheep or watch, throw the ball, throw the ball, throw the ball, and they don't give up. A Chihuahua might love his ball thrown a few times, but they generally give up and go curl up on your lap. And then some dogs are more into squirrels or chasing prey. But the shepherd, particularly the herding breeds, they want to work for you.
So
whatever the game is.
So temperament is a big thing. I mean, they've obviously got the sense, the tools as far as like the smell, but then the temperament's a big thing because it is a job at the end of the day. So
and we do try to rescue dogs whenever we can. And interesting, we've done a lot of different things. So every time I've done a study, every time I've done a project, it looks differently. There's no one way that we've done it yet. And that's where I see in Situ Foundation, we are standardizing the method of how to train the dogs. So the protocols have all been written down. I published some medical protocols on training the dog, on running the clinical trial, on sample collection. So literally when I go to these universities or schools or studies, I need to show them the steps, say, look, it's replicable. Anybody can do it. Anybody can learn how to do it. But it has to be standardized.
Yeah.
We can't have just all these independent people doing it. We need to all get on the same page so that it's recognized as a hard science.
Oh,
and
yes.
That's what's happening now. It really is. But you also asked about how do we train. So
yes.
I'm going to give you the nutshell version. This is the kind of from soup to nuts nutshell version of how it's done. So number one is a little bit of some myth busting. And one of the myths is that these dogs are running up and down the hospital wards sniffing people.
Right. You're like...
And that is no, that is not how we work. Could they be trained to do that? Yes, they can, because look at the way it started. Dogs were actually sourcing tumors on human bodies. And there were all these anecdotal stories. So of course they could be trained to sniff a person, but it's not really practical.
No.
What you're going to bring a dog up to a person in a gown and have the dog poking at all the, orifices and holes. I mean, this is just.
And what if they're scared? What if they're scared of animals? It's not going to.
Some people would like it, but some people would not.
That's right.
It has to be a method that. So what we did was we took it a step further and said, can a dog recognize the compounds from cancer in a person's waste product?
Okay.
And we use samples such as urine, saliva, sputum, even exhaled breath, perspiration, and plasma. So you could give me a urine sample, right? We put it down in a tray, and the dog would be able to either alert or not alert at that sample. We'll talk a little bit about what that is and how that looks. To train the dog, we literally use anywhere from 500 to 1,000 samples per dog. About a quarter of those are cancer samples taken from individual cancer patients. So we do need at least 75 to 100 different unique cancer patients' samples. These are biopsy-confirmed cancer patients
I see.
giving us a sample, and they have to go to the hospital or the doctor or the university so that they can be collected properly, so we don't have systematic biases in our training. The samples are collected and then shipped to us on dry ice. So we have all these cancer samples, and then we get all these healthy samples, which we call controls. So we have cases, which are our cancer samples, and we have controls, which are healthy samples, maybe other diseases other than cancer, which we are going to train the dogs to ignore.
I see. Okay.
And when you start with a basic dog, whether it's a puppy or an older dog, you've got to start the same way by teaching it to hunt, teaching it to find. In the beginning, we don't even use cancer samples. We teach it to find a toy, teach it to find his ball. We're also assessing the temperament of the dog because we don't want to waste all these valuable cancer samples if the dog isn't going to work. So we hide toys, we hide food. And then once the dog has the concept of go find, in this rack. So I don't know if you've seen our videos, but we have a scenting apparatus on the ground, nice and low, and we can pop samples into that rack, and the dog goes up and down the rack and knows what he's supposed to find.
And I know that you use positive like reinforcement training.
Yes, you have to. This is the dogs have to love to do this. There's no sort of discipline in our work. When we pop in the first cancer sample, the dog gets a click. You've heard of the clicker?
Yes.
Clicker training, positive marker training tool. And the minute that dog sniffs his first cancer sample, we click the clicker, throw the ball, or throw the liver treat, and he goes, wow, really? And then we move the cancer sample, we move it again, and then we switch it out to a new cancer sample.
So you move it 3 times, is that right?
It's much more complex than that. So there's about 371 steps, and there's a rotational. In the beginning, we maybe let the dog sniff one sample more, but as we move on, the doggy gets to sniff a cancer sample 1 time.
Oh, wow, that's
and then
amazing.
It's thrown out. So it's like a progressive scale of how we rotate samples in, but also we are adding in the healthy controls. So now maybe the beginning dog has a cancer sample, he gets rewarded for it, and then we pop in a healthy control. Well, what's he going to want to do? He's going to want to go back to the one that gave him the reward.
Yeah, of course.
So over time, he puts 2 and 2 together and understands that the healthy samples are very different than the than the cancer samples.
Mm-hmm.
Now, towards the end of training, a dog is able to, you can have runs with no cancer samples present. So the dog will go in, not alert, leave the rack saying there's no cancer present. We say, good dog, and he still gets his reward. He still gets his reward for not finding the cancer, if that makes sense. This is how we proof against false positives.
I see.
So then we might place 1 cancer sample, 3 cancer samples, 2, none. It doesn't matter. We're training the dog over and over again in all different scenarios. If the compounds are there, he is to paw and sit at that sample.
Wow.
And they really do seem to get it very quickly, but it's our proofing methods. We purposely try to throw them off, distract them, cause false alerts so that we can train them to not do that. So the majority, the dogs seem to get it in about 2 to 3 weeks, but it's the next 6 months of proofing to make sure that they're 100% accurate or 90% accurate.
It must feel really great when, like you say, they start working. They click, the training works. You're like, wow, this is just phenomenal, because it's another dog now that can actually save lives, because that's what they're doing. Because
it's correct.
Early detection is a cure, isn't it?
It is. It's the only cure that we have. 100% cure is finding the tumor or lesion early and being able to surgically remove it. So there's so much to bring up. So far, what we've done are clinical trials. So if you look at anything in medicine, from heart surgery to a drug to even the table you're sitting at has gone through FDA approval, and now you go to Costco and you see that if you buy this couch, it actually has fumes that are going to kill you. You've seen those signs. It's like you go to Starbucks and it actually says, "Welcome to Starbucks, but our coffee's going to kill you."
Yes,
if you drink too much of it. So everything we have has gone through these approvals and FDAs, and I think. A good analogy is the pregnancy test. And someone's going to look this up and quote me, get me. I'm going to get it wrong, but it took something like 17 to 25 years to get the pregnancy test through the FDA.
Oh, my
it's a simple,
goodness,
non-invasive urine test.
Yes.
Of course, you're going to go to the doctor anyway and have a blood test after you get a positive.
Yes.
But I mean, in a comparable way, we're just at the beginning of this science. So people get very discouraged and they say, well, why isn't it being used? If it works and it's so accurate, then why isn't it being used? Well, somebody has to do it. Somebody has to publish the research. And this is exactly what we're trying to do. the most exciting thing that's happened in the past 6 months, and I haven't even talked really about our background and all the work we've done with different universities. But right now, we are partnering with our local hospital here in Chico, California.
Right.
It's Enloe Hospital. And the CEO, Mike Wiltermude, called us in when we first got to town and said, we want to partner with you. We want to help. We want to collaborate. We can not only provide local resources such as sample collection, but we want to sponsor a doggy.
Oh.
So we've just brought in a new Labrador Retriever, who's also a the Labradors are another highly trainable breed. You will see them working a lot, believe it or not, in search and rescue, as bomb dogs, as military working dogs. People have the image of a German Shepherd, but actually Labrador Retrievers are excellent hunting dogs, and that's what we need. So we just got a little 8-week-old Labrador Retriever. He's absolutely a chunk. He just looks like a bowling ball, or he looks like a harp seal. You know, he's just white with these black eyes and a black nose, and you just want to squeeze him. But he's being sponsored by Enloe Hospital. He's living with the director of the cancer center, and we have very high hopes that we are going to have like a national screening day for cancer through the hospital.
I love this.
We're looking into practical applications right now. There's nothing in place, but I actually have a meeting at the IRB, which is the review board at the hospital, and I'm going to present a couple of different ideas. The local fire department, Chico Fire, called us in for a meeting, and they want to be screened by our dogs. So we definitely are going to start by screening our local fire department, and that's going to be within a year to 18 months. And we're putting together a brand new team of dogs to be able to screen the public, because it's a different thing. When you screen the public, your training has to reflect the general public.
That's right, it does.
When you're doing a clinical trial, it has to reflect what you're being tested on in that clinical trial. So, for example, in a clinical trial, maybe we're just doing ovarian cancer. So I'm sent only ovarian cancer samples plus healthy controls, and then I'm tested on ovarian cancer. So the kind of training we need to do to screen the public is going to involve a much larger amount of samples from the general population, different types of cancer.
Yeah, that's
so
going
we
to be a
can
lot.
kind of have a red light, green light, early warning test. And of course, the answer is if you get hit on, not by one dog, but by 5 dogs. So everything we do, we work with teams of dogs, not just one dog. We
Right.
work with 5 different opinions.
So
right?
this is thorough. Really thorough.
It's very thorough. You've got 5 expert sniff opinions. And really, if all 5 dogs, we do thousands and thousands and thousands of runs to train a dog. Not only hundreds of samples, close to 1,000 samples per dog, but thousands in the tens of thousands of runs, meaning over and over again, repeating the process and really teaching the dog what he's doing. So when you get 5 opinions, all 5 dogs are sitting at that sample.
Mm-hmm.
We know darn well there's something there.
Now, how long does it take to train a dog, and what's the cost of training a dog?
So 2 different questions, and great questions at that. So now I often equate this question to how long does it take to learn a backflip? Well, if you're talking to a gymnast or a young person who's very flexible,
That's right.
maybe that 8-year-old will learn a backflip in a year, right? But you're talking to me, I'm 47, I'm a little stiff, I'm probably never going to learn a backflip. So it depends. Who's the dog? Does he have any former training? Maybe he was even a scent detection dog, like an ex-police dog or a search and rescue dog who already knows how to hunt and find.
Yeah, got a head start.
That dog can be trained in as little as 12 weeks. So if you start with a puppy, right, this puppy has to grow up. He's got to build some attention span, some work ethic. They're a little bit silly when they're puppies, so I usually wait till the dog's at least 12 months old. So if you start with a puppy, yes, I'm going to train him on cancer samples, but he's not going to be ready to work till he's 12 to 18 months old.
And that, and the cost then of this.
We've done a lot of different things. So the old saying, time is money, money is time. This takes a tremendous amount of work and people. If I go in the laboratory, I'm there from 8 in the morning till 5 p.m. It's not only cleaning, sterilizing the equipment, prepping the dogs, picking up all the dogs. We don't own the dogs. I have puppy raisers, so we've got to go pick up all the dogs, take them to work, make sure the volunteers are there walking and pottying the dogs, getting them fed, getting everybody on the right schedule, disinfecting the equipment, going to the medical freezer, taking out the samples that have to defrost for exactly 25 minutes each, but bringing them out in the right order so that we have enough samples to last the whole day. So somebody's manning the freezer and writing all the data down. We have data recorders, video cameras. In between each run, we wipe off the rack. So it is It's a lot of manual labor at this point. It is people's time. Dog food isn't expensive. It's basically the time it takes to run the organization to have a facility. So our facility costs money.
Yeah.
We have to heat it. We have 105-degree summers, so we have to keep it cool.
Yeah.
And all of our dogs live with people at homes, but when they come to work, I kind of like to call it the laboratory, but it's a like doggy laboratory.
Right.
It's like Disneyland. They have a
Yeah.
play park. It's fenced in. They can go outside and run. We take breaks every hour. They get breaks. But they don't want breaks. They just want to come back in and hunt because it gets them their reward.
And it sounds like they perceive it as a lot of fun. Now, how long
they
is
love it.
How long is a work day? A typical work day? I mean, do they work 5 days a week? Do they work one day a week?
We pretty much like the 3-day a week. It's not how much you train; it's how.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to leave them wanting. So if we have 5 dogs and they're rotated in, a run only lasts 30 seconds.
Oh.
So like I said, what takes the most amount of time is us setting up that run. And then the dogs just come in and go, boom, got it, and they leave. And they're already on break. So then we have to pull the samples, put 5 new samples in the rack, wipe it down.
It sounds like you do more of the work.
We do. I do. It's been a lot. But, when you ask about the cost, it's hard. We've never actually sold dogs for a program until the UC Davis dogs. So it was $180,000 to give them the 2 dogs, and that was about 18 months of training.
That's a lot of money. So you definitely need donations coming in.
It's up there with, and you're just looking at the amount of time it takes, which is a year to 18 months for the young dog to become a fully trained working dog, and program time. It's organization, and it's pretty much. It's a full time. So even on the days off, you're having meetings at the hospital. You're doing, sample collection. You're doing. I'm on Facebook trying to promote what we do. There's a ton of work in just running the organization as well. So all of our programs are different. For example, Enloe Hospital is sponsoring a dog for $40,000. So that dog is, technically owned by the Hunts. Tracy Hunt is the director of the Cancer Center, so she owns the dog. But in Situ Foundation and I have access to the dog anytime we want for training.
Right.
And
Okay.
testing and screening. So that program is $40,000 to sponsor a dog, meaning he's going to be fully trained. We're probably going to use him to screen the fire department, possibly another clinical trial. But we're also trying to build a Chico team. So if anybody else wants to sponsor a dog, you're looking at a similar, $40,000 is a more reasonable price. But that's for the life of the dog. I mean, Enloe is going to be around for a long time, so that's pretty cheap when you look at his whole life being trained and maintained. And if you look at a mammogram, and a mammogram machine is upwards of $1 million, and the service on the machine can be $300,000 a year.
What a difference!
I mean, that's one mammogram machine, and the accuracy levels. Like if you look at the PSA test for cancer, they give up to 85% false positives, which means yes, the PSA test finds cancer, but it's also telling up to 85% of people they have cancer as well, and they don't. And this is a tremendous problem. So you only hear about their accuracy levels in sensitivity. That's its ability to find. But you don't hear about the specificity level, which is, sure, they're telling, 85 people they have cancer, and really only one of those people have cancer. The other 85 are false positives. You don't hear that result. You just hear that the PSA test found 1 cancer.
That's horrific.
Out of 100 men. Does that make sense?
Oh my gosh.
They don't tell you that they also told 85 other people that underwent unnecessary biopsy surgery and sometimes even treatment. So we have overdiagnosis. A lot of cancers, there are problems. Look, dogs aren't robots.
No.
Any screening method we have has to be used. We have to work together and put all these tools together. So here are the problems with the dogs. They can detect so early because we do get early stage samples, and they're usually from people who go to get an MRI on their rib. They have a broken rib, and boom, there's some spots on their lungs.
They see something, right?
They would have never seen it, but there are the spots. They do a biopsy. Wow, it's stage 0 or stage 1. So in that way, we are able to train on early stage and test on early stage, but it's usually by accident that they're found. So what do? A lot of these early stage cancers aren't visible yet on MRIs, CT scans, and mammograms. So let's say the dogs go, boom, there's something here. All 5 dogs are going crazy on this sample, and the person goes to get a scan, and nothing's there.
Oh gosh, you can see how
So-
important these dogs are. Oh
but,
gosh.
but the problem becomes, well, then what? You know, does the person have to panic now for the rest of their life? No, what I see it as is this person is on high alert. They can resubmit a sample in a year. Some early stage cancers can spontaneously remiss. Some cancers are not even treated. So women with DCIS, which is what my mother had, oftentimes are sent home, and they are to wait 6 months to a year to see if the tumors grow. Sometimes they spontaneously remiss. So, like I said, you can't just go crazy. But what it will do is it enables people to understand they have an early warning system. They may have some cancer cells in their body that are starting to grow. What can you do at that point? You can change your diet, change your exercise, reduce your stress level.
Yes.
Get more scans. Get your yearly get maybe 2 scans that year, and then resubmit your sample.
Well, yeah, you can
So-
actually spring into action, can't you? I think that's what it gives you. It gives
Right.
you an opportunity to say, okay, we need to change some things, and this is what we can do. Whereas often, you know, like you say, sometimes it's gone too far, the cancer, and you're like, if only I'd have detected it earlier, I could have actually
Right.
made some changes myself in my own lifestyle. And as you say, maybe additional screening. So it really is the focus, early detection, which
Right.
dogs have this sense to do.
Right.
And I was reading here that you use humans, of course, use three senses to diagnose a patient, which is hearing, sight, and sound. And then with the dog, you're adding in the fourth sense,
That's
and
right.
and that's their smell. And gosh, it's phenomenal. Now, how is the medical field accepting this? Are they accepting this? Is it a very select few people that are very open to this? How is it received?
You know, it's really funny, and I'm proud as proud can be to say that we are getting from the top scientists in the world. We are getting 100% acceptance and respect. Now, that's not to say there are always some people who don't know the data. They just usually the people that don't believe it or haven't heard of it it's exactly that. They haven't read about it. They haven't really read the hard science.
Right.
We have hard published data. There are over 531 published in medical journals. I didn't do them all because we've had replication. My first study spawned a series of replication studies that went around the globe.
Amazing.
So, for example, the largest urological conference in the world was held in Tampa, Florida in 2015, urological. And the Italian study by Dr. Taverna, he took his prostate cancer detection study. He used 3 German Shepherds, I believe, and they were 99 to 98 to 99% accurate
Impressive.
at detecting prostate cancer.
Wow.
And this data was published in the Journal of Urology in America, and also it was presented at the largest urological conference in the world among our United States, presentations. I'm now speaking at oncology conferences all over.
Oh gosh,
I've
it's
spoken
amazing.
at. So it's really, it's a new science. Anytime there's something new, there's going to be skepticism. There's going to be
Yes.
problems. There's going to be, things aren't perfect, but it's the best we have. It is way better than what we have.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to do is perfect it. We're trying to say, how can we practically and responsibly use this? And part of it is by creating those protocols and standardizations, which I speak about a lot. But it is among those who know, so here's your answer, the people who have read the data and taken the time to go online, go to PubMed, read the published studies. The people who have read them cannot deny the information. Our collaborators at UC Davis actually said, this is transforming medicine. This will transform medicine.
Yeah.
They're saying things like, the dogs are doing something machines can't do. This is what the top doctors that I've worked with are actually saying. If this can happen in a big way, it's going to drastically change the way we go about diagnosing cancer. It's not going to really change it. It's just going to add to it.
It's going to add to it, yes.
It's going to add to it.
And some time.
But I will tell you, for 10 years, I was laughed out of the room.
Oh, gosh.
You're crazy. This will never happen. Who do you think you are? So it's been 10 years of me feeling like I have to convince people. And I would say just in the last 3 years, it caught on like wildfire. It might have been the credibility of having more published data or being on enough news channels.
Yeah.
But, finally, I feel like in the last 3 years, we're getting somewhere with this.
Gosh.
And it takes time. I always say it's like imagine the first person that looked up in the sky and pointed at the moon.
Right.
But before we had ever been there, right? And said, hey,
By the way,
I think I'm going to go there. And everybody laughed. And then years later, we landed on the moon. It's kind of like right now we're pointing.
yes.
But we've built the rocket, okay? We've built the rocket, and that's where we are. Now, where is it going to land? And that's how I see the practical application is, have we landed on the moon yet? Not with the dogs. The rocket ship is built. We're all in the rocket. We're ready to launch. The data's there. We had the idea. We got our rocket ship built. We're all loaded up, but where's it going to land?
Well, I do have a question for you because, of course, cancer is just the percentage of people with cancer is just horrific. I mean, just horrific. Now, I'm also seeing so much cancer in pets as well. Will these dogs be able to eventually work with samples from other pets?
Absolutely, absolutely.
This makes me really excited.
Yeah, and we've had some DVMs, some interest, and I've spoken to some people over the phone, and I'm definitely willing to guide them along in their own studies and research. I also have a course that I teach, not to add to the list of things that I have to do, but a few times a year, we give a course. We usually have about 12 students. It's limited to about 12 students. Some of them are doctors, MDs, some of them are researchers, and some of them are dog trainers. So the course kind of encompasses everything to do with our science. It's a 6-day course. We are working right now to put the whole course online, and we've gotten approved for CEU units, for continuing ed units. So everybody be looking for our course online, or if you want to come to Chico and take the course, you can come. And I forgot why I was telling you this, but
about getting dogs to actually diagnose other pets who may have cancer.
That's right.
Yeah.
So this would be a great course for like a DVM to come and take. So you could learn, how, not only how we do it, how we collect samples, but it would be easily applied to being able to detect other animals' cancer.
Gosh, I find that exciting too.
And that's a great clinical trial right there. That's a great clinical trial.
Wow.
Also, if you look at the possibilities for countries who don't have screening methods, definitely taking this across the globe to places that have long lines of people. Mexico, for example. You okay over there?
Oh, he's choking.
You need another towel.
He's choking to death.
I feel bad. But so we had a doctor, I'm sorry, the name's escaping me. And we were talking to him quite a bit, and then other things happened in the U.S. But he has long lines of women. Some of them just have a common cold. Some of them have a sore throat. And then somebody at the end of the line, like the 500th woman in line, has cancer. And he doesn't know who to see first. So his idea was to get a dog that could kind of sniff samples from each woman and tell them, we're the cancer patients.
That's
we need
brilliant.
to see these guys first.
That's brilliant.
So, even if you just look at the applications of this in countries that need this kind of help, that don't have screenings at all, this could help. So, it's really exciting. I feel like I've got a lot of balls in the air.
Yeah.
And it's very busy, and we are a nonprofit. We've struggled. My husband and I put our own money into the nonprofit.
I believe it. I
10
believe
years,
it.
And then when there happens to be a clinical trial, it's usually a small amount of money because the people who get the medical grants are like the hospital. So UC Davis will get a large medical grant and then just pay me for my time as a researcher for 12 weeks. We don't get those big medical grants. Those are going to the universities. The universities can then decide to partner with me, which is great, but they're not giving us the grant. So it's very political, and we kind of fall through the cracks because we're not a university, right? And Situ Foundation is a private, small foundation. Yeah. And we've partnered with some of the great universities like Duke and like UC Davis. However, we're not even eligible to get those large cancer grants through the NCI, the NIH, all of those big grants. We're not even eligible. So those go to the hospitals, doctors, and universities.
Yeah, like you say, you kind of fall in the cracks there because it's new. It's fairly new.
There's no category for it. And then you look at, the dog rescues, they are also very big at getting grants, like the Humane Society.
Yes.
Even and really your local shelters need more help. They are the small, really out there doing the nitty gritty, your local shelters. But even they can get these grants. So we kind of fall in a really unique place where we're trying to build community support. We're probably going to put on a big fundraiser here in Chico, California.
Great
you guys
idea.
have heard of Sierra Nevada Brewery?
Yes.
Chico, California.
I didn't know that.
So I had like the first batch. I can't remember what year. It was before I left for college, I think. But so Sierra Nevada Brewery's here in Chico, and we're hoping to do a very large fundraiser, get some good rock and roll bands there.
Oh.
Maybe you guys could plug it when it happens. But we're going for some big talent, and we want to do a very specific fundraiser. For example, we want to screen the fire department. We need to put together a new team of dogs for that. And I can explain why if you're interested. But we need a new team of dogs, and we need to screen the fire department. Firemen have 3 times as likelihood of chance as getting cancer.
Are you kidding?
No, because of the fire,
Everything
being exposed to household fires, chemical fires, and even for trainings, I think they probably have, burned their own fires to at one point or
train.
Another. So they're exposed and they have carcinogens on their clothes, but they're 3 times as likely.
That's high.
And so we want to do a fundraiser to support this Chico team of dogs to screen the fire department.
I think that is a huge need for them. I didn't know it was that high. They are exposed to so much, aren't they?
And who doesn't love firemen?
Oh yeah,
dogs, right. So when you have the mix of firemen
with no shirts on, no shirts.
We should be able to get a lot of people out. So we need to look at doing stuff like that.
Yeah. You know what? I'm telling you now.
To the public.
I'm telling you now. When people listen to this show, one, they're going to be very excited about this and want to support. I just know that because everybody knows someone who's had cancer. It's horrible, and to be able to detect it early. Now, I think you and I may have a mutual friend in Laura Nativo, correct?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because she always talks about Delilah.
Yes.
Sniffing her and alerting her something's not right, and sure enough, she detected cancer as well. But yeah, I'm telling you now, this is not only just life changing, but it's life saving work, isn't it? These dogs are doing. Are you the only organization that does this in the country?
No, in the country, we have Penn Vet at the University of Pennsylvania, and they actually have a program for it, which is wonderful. They have not produced any research yet, but I know they're in a clinical trial, so they are definitely trying to be out there as a university saying, look, we're looking into this too. So that's really great. Also in the UK, you've probably heard of Claire Guest. They have the full support of their Queen.
Yes.
Endorsements from the Queen. Their government supports it. I mean, they are getting tons of support over there. So we need to kind of catch up over here with support maybe from our government.
Yes.
Or, looking at these big foundations like the Bill Gates Foundation, holler out if anybody has connections, because the bigger foundations like the Bill Gates Foundation gives money for this type of things, for new inventions, for new programs. So a grant from somebody like that could really bring us to the place where we're screening the public.
And the thing is, I see this not only just being something that's in the States, but it's something that's global. I really see this being global. And I see other organizations saying, how do we do this? And like you say, you've created this protocol. It will be the same across the board. It really is incredible work.
It's really fun.
How long have you been doing this from the beginning? 12 years, did you say?
Well, yeah, I started off, let's see. In 1993 was when I first started training dogs. It was a lot of pet dog training, and very shortly into my career, I got involved in search and rescue, which brought me into missing persons and bomb and narcotics. But it wasn't until 2003 when I was asked to help with the Pine Street study. So 2003 was the first venture in the cancer detection work. However, I had been doing scent detection for 20 so years. And now a total of over 23 years, I think, 24 years.
Lots of experience. Yeah, a lot of experience. It's exciting times, though, isn't it? I mean,
it is. We have a lot of hope. I mean, I think that we're in a great country. We're in a great place. We can really do things here. My husband was just in Germany. He goes to China a lot. It's a lot of business stuff. But, we can really take something here and do it. Whereas in another country, they will say, you can't do that, or you can't make musical instruments. We already have somebody doing that. Here, we don't realize the opportunity. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
So as bad as it is, and however we argue about the government and what's happening, we really should look at the fact that we can really be the leaders in the world in science and medicine because we have the creativity. We just had a great article in the paper the CEO of the hospital said it's organizations like ours, and it makes me cry because I'm not tooting my own horn. We have not gotten a lot of recognition. It's been a struggle, but he said it's because of organizations like Situ Foundation that we even have treatments for cancer, and because it's the creativity.
Yeah.
It's people saying, look, what if, and what if? It's the possibility of how this can change. And that's what I see, as being very American. And however funny that sounds, we are in the land of opportunity. And I think it is a good time in that we can take our creative ideas and we can do them.
Make them happen. Like you say, land on the moon. Like we can land on the moon, people. So why can't we do this?
We're an inspiration for other countries, and still people want to come here.
Do you know what you need? I tell you what you need from your city. You need a proclamation day. That's what you need.
Hey,
yeah, that's
a great idea.
Yeah, and you need to apply for that.
On my wish list.
I'm telling you now, on a proclamation day, and on that day every year, and this is the day for the cancer detection dogs, or whatever you want to call it. But that would be an amazing thing every year that pops up, and it becomes this.
Hey, if somebody wants to do that, I don't know if that's done by nomination or however, but it would be really, really cool.
It's pretty. Well, I know it's easy in our town, isn't it, Jim? You just apply for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to look into it.
Yeah,
that's a very good idea.
I just think that would be amazing. And then from that week, it can not only be a day, you can have cancer detection dogs week, awareness week.
Right.
And those awareness weeks really do work. We have a friend who she's got the Deaf Dogs Rock organization, which is the biggest one in the States. And there's the Deaf Dog Awareness Week. And boy, does that make a difference. Cool. A really big difference. I see you having a week. I see you getting the proclamation.
Yes.
And I see people really wanting to jump on board with this because no one wants anyone to go through cancer. And it's the first thing people say is, did they catch it early? And so to catch it even earlier than a traditional test is even better, isn't it?
Well, totally. And I will tell you, you said people want to jump on board. So a lot of people want to help, but they don't know how to help. And there's many things you can do. You can donate.
Yeah.
You can learn how to do it. So we're going to make this accessible online within the next 6 months. You're going to be able to learn how to do it online. Also, you can come to us in person. And we not only tell you how to do it, we teach you how to set up a program. Even if you're not a dog trainer, maybe you're the researcher, maybe you're the MD who wants to have a program at their hospital. Yeah. We want to spread this. And so we can start creating programs nationally and internationally. So what you can do, if you're really interested in this, come take the class. Be a program facilitator.
Yeah.
We have a special certification just for program facilitators, which means, let's say you're not a researcher or a doctor or a dog trainer. You can still learn how to speak about it, go to hospitals, present it. We give you the keynotes, give you the PowerPoints so that you can go and start a program
run the program. This is so well thought out. Because like you said, there are many tentacles to anything that you do, isn't there?
It's true. There's so much going on. And I wish I was an octopus. I need more arms and more brains. Because that's exactly how I feel. And sometimes in the morning, I have 4 dogs, but I only have 2 arms.
Right.
Do you know that problem? And you're like, I need 8 arms because I can only pet 2 dogs. And there's 4 of them. And I'm like, I need more arms. But you're exactly right. When you love something, you need to be an octopus. You need to have 8 brains, 8 arms, and you have to be out there doing all different aspects. And, I've run this foundation from the beginning, and we have very little help. So recently, with our collaboration with our hospital and our volunteers, we are really getting somewhere. And I thank you to the collaborations I've done, because we would be nowhere without the other people helping us. That is key.
Well,
that is key.
There's only good that comes out of this. And so that's why I think people are going to be so excited. There's only good that can come out of this program expanding and going across the country, then becoming global. There's only good that can come out of this. It's so exciting. I'm still shocked by that number you were telling me about who's diagnosed and who's kind of misdiagnosed. That is a very high number. I'm shocked by that. I'm really shocked by that. And like you say, people going through maybe unnecessary biopsies and treatments and that kind of thing when they actually don't have it. Oh, you know what? I put a post up today, 2 days ago, and you know what it said? It said, dogs are the best people in the world. And I believe they are. I mean, there's so much to learn about dogs, but how they benefit us is huge in so many ways, whether they help you because you've got impaired vision, or like you say, we're going through some medical trials to early detect cancer. There's that's why I think we need to really, really, I think, revere dogs. I really do, because they do so many wonderful things.
It's incredible. And what you just tapped on is my passion, which is the coevolution of dog and man, and how we've helped each other from the beginning of time. There is a Gregor Larson, a wolf biologist and evolutionist at the University of Oxford. He says that actually, because of our relationship with the dog, or the proto-dog, early dog, wolf, because of our relationship with the dog, humans emerged as the dominant species from the Ice Age.
Oh, wow.
We wouldn't have made it.
Wow.
They helped us track. They helped us hunt.
They helped us get along. They helped us eat.
And then once we killed the woolly mammoth, they also were able to guard that meat, because I mean, every scavenger in the forest would want to come kill you and take your food, but we used the dog to help guard our food, and then we shared the meat, so it was a win-win. Then we took the dogs all the way, to the Americas, Pacific Islands. We domesticated. The dog was the first domesticated animal, literally thousands of years before other animals, before sheep and pigs, and also through the agricultural stage in history. They guarded our crops, guarded our livestock. And we probably would not have been so successful during the agricultural stage, maybe not even made it through without our dogs guarding our livestock and crops.
We have a long time history with dogs, a long time history.
And so not only the working, we think of the service dogs, police dogs, military working dogs, but when you look at dogs have been proven to lower blood pressure.
Yes.
They release oxytocin and dopamine into your bloodstream. When you look at your dog and pet your dog, and I'm sure you guys have spoken about this on your show, the health benefits, it releases oxytocin, and that is the love hormone. Women get it when they breastfeed or have an orgasm. So there's only 3 things that produce it. It's the love, breastfeeding a baby, or petting your dog. And it releases this flush of hormones into your system, making you feel wonderful. And also dopamine, which is the happiness hormone. And when you look into your dog's eyes and gaze into his eyes and pet that little head, there's this mutual release of these chemicals in both the dog's brain and your brain, and it's like love.
I always say,
like feeling love.
It is. I always say they're the best medicine. They just make you happy.
They do.
I mean, even when Mr. Twix, one of my dogs, chewed up my nice shoe, I didn't care because he was so cute.
That is the cutest.
It was my fault anyway, so I soon got over that. But I'm like, look how cute he is, looking at me like, yeah, it's okay, I just chewed your shoe, but I'm cute.
Oh.
And they do. They make you feel great. And I always say, you know what's wrong? When people ask, you know what's wrong with that person? They go, what? I go, they don't have a dog. That's their problem.
Exactly.
I need to give them a remedy.
Yeah.
Well,
I gotta say, I do judge when people tell me they don't like dogs.
I do too. I
can't help it.
I don't care.
And I don't have kids, so I'm sure I'm judged.
Neither do we.
Kid lovers. But don't you find that a lot of the real diehard dog people, a lot of them don't have kids. Like a lot of the working dog people, the agility champions, the AKC, a lot of these people. Well, A, it takes a lot of time. So they are our kids. And B, when the kids come, the doggy goes outside. It's very sad, and it happens a lot. Or the doggy gets given up, and so I find that a lot of non-childbearing people have dogs, and it fulfills that. I wrote an article once called "Mother of Four," and I was going through my 30s, and all of my friends were baby crazy. They were all getting married. They were all popping out kids, and I didn't feel anything. I never felt that maternal
Me
urge.
neither.
I thought something was wrong with me.
Me neither.
What it was I was already a mother of 4. I had puppies all the time. I was wiping noses. I was baby puppy. And this, your brain doesn't know the difference between holding a baby puppy and a baby. I mean, really,
caring.
Look at the animal brain. Does not know the difference. Love is love.
Yes.
The love I feel for my dog is probably the similar love that I would feel for a baby. And people say this to me. People say, and I won't say any names, but some very big clients of mine. I was a dog trainer to the stars in LA. I had a lot of Nicolas Cage, Bruce Willis, Al Pacino, Tony Scott, Ridley Scott. I had a lot of
some
major star clients. Elon Musk, the Walmart family. The Annenberg family. So some very big clients. But I've been confided in that people have called me and said, I feel really guilty. I felt more when my dog died than I did when my mother died, or when my dad. And they feel guilty about it.
I hear it all the time.
But we do hear this, and it's a legitimate. Don't feel guilty. Dogs are non-judgmental. They never talk back to us. They sit there by our feet. My dogs are right here by my feet right now. I mean, who is this loyal? We don't get this kind of loyalty from our children, from
No.
our families. And we can't help but have the unconditional, it's true unconditional love. So at least it lets us feel that. Don't feel guilty about loving your dog more than you love
Well, because I think because everything about them represents good, doesn't it? That's the thing. It's not like you can look back and go, oh, I wish I'd never argued with my uncle who just passed away. Like, you never say, well, I wish I hadn't argued with my dog. I mean, you don't have those experiences. And I think that's why it's so difficult, because you're like, everything that's so good has gone. And you can't even measure how much you even love them, because it's so deep. And that's so when you lose them, it's as deep, and you just can't measure it. And don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty at all, because like you said, love is love. Are there different levels of love? No, I just think love is across the board.
Love is love.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, I think that's a perfect note for us to end on, isn't it? Don't you?
Yes.
Now,
and that's how the whole thing started.
If we weren't running away to an event, we would have stayed on for much, much longer.
I love it.
But
I was so happy to
This
talk
won't be our last interview, because, of course, there are some big things coming ahead for you. Clearly, now that this there's a focus on it and people are starting to hear about it, and like you say, hospitals are jumping on board with you. So I just see this escalating very, very quickly. Now, we do have an international audience. We have people listen from all over the world. So I'm excited for everybody to hear what you've started. And pioneer is a perfect word for you, because it takes a lot to do any organization. That's fantastic.
I don't know what that is. I think it's a squirrel.
No, that was
His name is Mr.
Between their barking and Jim's coughing, we're good. We're even. We are totally even on this. Well,
it was very enjoyable.
Dina,
Thank you so
it's been brilliant. I'm going to make sure you get a link as soon as this goes up as a podcast.
Please do.
We will share. It will stay out there as evergreen content until we get something new from you, and then we'll replace it. But
wonderful, and I will share as well. We have 10,000 followers on our Facebook page.
Wonderful.
So we'll share it as well.
It's just one of those interviews. I'm so excited to talk to her, because people need to know about this.
Yay!
And we have we have a listenership that love new things. They want to know how they can get involved, and that could apply to me. Oh, maybe I need to be tested at that particular hospital that has that service with those dogs. So it's going to impact people in many, many different ways. And I know a lot of our people are going to share this, definitely.
Great.
Well,
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Send me the link.
I absolutely will, and we'll be sharing this continuously through our social media as well, to get as many ears on the actual show itself. So thank you so much, Dina. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
I think we'll just end up. I'll just friend you on Facebook. I think that's the best way. Then I can keep tabs on what you're doing.
Perfect.
And have a great weekend.
You too.
Bye, Dina.
Bye-bye.
Well, everybody, to me, that could easily have been a two-hour show. There is so much involved in the cancer detecting dogs and where it's going to go. It's very exciting times, and very exciting to know that this can also apply to our pets, where their samples can be tested eventually. And I think that is so exciting. And I can't wait to tell my veterinarian. She probably already knows about it. But this is very valuable in the world of medical testing, so that people can be diagnosed early, accurately, and not have to go through any unnecessary biopsies and treatments if they've been misdiagnosed, and actually get diagnosed early and say life-changing and life-saving. And it gives people time. And that's the one thing that people need if they need to change their lifestyle and improve their health when they get an early detection. I think it's absolutely wonderful work, and Pioneer is great. And I look forward to her getting her proclamation. She needs a proclamation, and maybe a cancer detecting dogs awareness week. I think would be great to have that on the horizon to bring more awareness. Well, that's the end of the show, people. It always goes so fast when we have such great guests that come on doing pioneering work. So remember, you can always help an animal in need. Either rescue, adopt, donate, volunteer, share their information, rescue your next family member, and replace the word shop with adopt. And we always say, be kind to all animals. Big thank you to Dina for being our guest today. It was an absolute pleasure. Take a moment to run over to their Facebook page, Cancer Sniffing Dogs of America, and their website. If you would like to make a donation, the website is dogsdetectcancer.org. That is plural, dogsdetectcancer.org. This show will go up on our archives. We will share this once again through our social media. And if you will share that with as many of your friends it would be so appreciated. Thank you, Jim, for coughing through my show.
I made it.
You did make it, yeah. And I would like to thank the listeners. Of course, you're the biggest part of the show, and we're glad you're here every single week to listen to Vegas Rock Dog Radio. And you've been listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio, where it is all about our pets, people, pop culture, cancer-sniffing dogs as well. And I'm your host, Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs. Always kiss your pets good morning and good night, and I'll see you next time.
You've been listening to Vegas